Hello, I'm someone who observes things. We're being observed, and we observe everything, as long as we observe. This is King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, the 23rd episode, probably. I mean, I've been wrong numerically before. It happens.
We should probably say the Pentecost, though. Is that what we're up to? Did I steal your joke?
You want to run the show, James? I could just let you. You want to do tomorrow night, too? The year is 400.
You're on this one.
You want me to wait for a minute?
Arthur's silence is just great.
You want me to wait until you're fully focused? Oh, you're good. All right. James. Have some respect for the craft. That's all I'm saying. The year is 496, and the court is Countess Ellen's in Sarum. There is much gossip and news about, little of it relevant to the local area, and littler still that may actually be true. Lies and deceit rampage like wildfire across the countryside of Britain as Logres begins to fall apart, not quite as slowly as some might hope. In attendance today is the Atheling Prince Esquine of East Saxons and Sir Brastius, the king's bodyguard, when we had a king. There is also a representative from Duke Ulfius. And of course, there are many knights in attendance. The feast begins with an announcement by Countess Ellen as she stands and raises a drink, which causes everyone else to stand and raise a drink, as she holds a toast towards Sir Kinnead and says, "There are many who call themselves knights, and there are fewer than that number who truly hold to the code. Sir Kinnead has been a vision of chivalry throughout a very difficult trial, which would cause many to come in conflict with themselves. And it cannot be said by any living or dead that Sir Kinnead has not come through all of this without his honor intact. And Sir Kinnead, honor is represented by how others view you, not how you view yourself. And as a result, you may increase your honor by 1.
Oh, thank you.
Hear, hear.
In the background, you can see that there are many financiers, those of Jewish descent, speaking with the Countess in the immediate aftermath of this. It goes remarked upon up and down the tables as merchants and those of great wealth have come to this feast and interrupted this solemn Christian occasion with business. With that said, there is plenty of time to sing, dance, make merry, and speak with those who you would have time to speak with.
Is there any information about why the Saxon prince is here?
Would you like to go talk to him?
Well, first off, is it public knowledge, or is it something that's? I'm sure people are discussing it. I'm not given to idle gossip, but certainly information gathering.
Okay,
is probably,
James, sure. I think what would be more appropriate is for you to say your character is not given to idle gossip. Look, I'll give you a choice. You can ask people what they think he's doing here, or you can initiate the cutscene where his business is played out before the court. Dragon Age Inquisition style.
I mean, I was going to do both, but I was going to do them in that order. So ask people first, and then potentially even approach him if if his involvement isn't yet, scripted.
You begin asking about listening for the answers that you'd like to hear. Can I ask for a courtly roll from you, please?
So does he. Definitely. That's a critical fumble.
Wow. You keep telling yourself as desperately as you can that you are no gossip. And you come to the harsh realization that you love the chase of the information perhaps more than you should. I would like, it's always tough to remember which edition we're in. It's worldly or whatever the other thing that's not worldly
Spiritual.
is.
Worldly or spiritual?
I will need a worldly roll from you.
That's about to pass.
That is a pass. I would like you to check worldly, please.
Sure.
You hold God high in your heart still, make no mistake, and you are someone who is a true believer. And yet, the bright allure of the court draws you in like a moth to the flame, as you cannot help but stop and commit a little sin of gossip.
Okay,
With that said,
he's got indulgences for that.
I do
yeah,
have
okay.
indulgences for that, yeah.
With that said, you hear 6 different reasons posited forward, but no real facts. All that is known is that a prince and atheling of the East Saxons, Essexians, has come quite far and deep into enemy territory in order to treat with the Countess.
Oh, let's all have a talk then before this goes any further.
Huddle. Shh.
Dad huddle.
The two of you and Gwent all make very clear note of Gwgan's extremely obvious gossip mongering. And I say mongering because it is not simply listening to gossip. Gwgan is now actively involved in it, at least this night.
Brothers, I don't know what this Saxon prince is doing here, but I can speculate. He's either here to make some sort of declaration or propose some sort of arrangement. I don't know what that might be. But I imagine that whatever it is, the Countess will be seeking the advice of her closest allies. Should we try and find out what he wants before he speaks to the court, or should we wait and see this play out?
Wet puts one of his elbows on the table, making a gesture, and leans in close and says, "You think I can sell him on my card game? I feel like if we can spread it to the Saxons, we're opening a new market."
I mean, I think that as ungodly men, they're probably more prone to gambling than others.
Gwent
I'm
does
not
the
sure
Gwent on.
They may have trouble grasping the mechanics of the game.
Gwent is a game for everyone, ages 6 to 60.
What are you talking about? Nobody is age 60.
Gwent leads in and says Moses lived to be over 200, I think. Could happen.
I would guess that they're here to levy maybe some sort of deal with the Countess, but Essex is quite a ways away, if I'm not mistaken.
On the far side of Silchester.
I wonder if the East Saxons have some issue with the South Saxons. Maybe some sort of dispute between Essex and Sussex.
Wow, James.
Right.
Sussex is a much closer concern, for sure.
Classic Essex-Sussex rivalry.
I lived in Essex, so, you know.
So he knows.
Somewhere out there, the Bishop of Kent is sweating real hard. Just
In any case, I do think we should find out what's going on. And but I believe I'm going to speak with Sir Brastius first. I have not seen him since St. Albans.
Well, he knows you well, so you should be the one that goes first.
I'll leave the information gathering to you and Kneed and Gwent.
It's times like this that I really miss Herawd.
Indeed.
She really misses Herawd's wife. And I meant it like I said it.
There are other matters that I would speak to you on. I'm planning on building a hall for the order this winter. I had several thoughts. One was perhaps to speak to the Countess and see if there was any land in or near Sarum available. The other was to build it at my own manor. What are your opinions on this?
I think that don't you have an opinion, Gwent?
I just feel like any defensible location where we might meet at regularly should include a rumpus room.
I think that first off, either of those is a good suggestion or a good option. The only other one I would put forward, if not for practicality, then for a sense of history, would be whether a hall would serve the village of Imber, where we first formed, and where brothers of the Axe have tested themselves, in the past.
I worry that Imber might be too far afield should we need to gather in a hurry.
That is a good suggestion, though. Something worth considering, I believe. We'll have to weigh the pros and cons of each location.
Let me know what I can do to help.
Of course. And then if there's nothing else, I think Sir Kendric approaches Sir Brastius.
You
Could say
approach.
there's also some. I was going to say that we could also say there is some really undesirable swampland in the region called Camelot that nothing will ever come out of. We could try and build it there.
Sir Brastius.
He looks like a different man, kind of like a man who's recently survived death. But he has the feeling that he never really left St. Albans. His face is sunken. He has dark circles under his eyes and a grim expression. And there is more than a little gray peppering him as he turns to look at you with no recognition and says, "Ah, yes, Sir Kendric. What can I do for you?"
I was wondering if you had any news of the lands you had traveled through.
I have news from London. At St. Paul's Church, someone has driven a sword through an anvil and into a stone. It appeared miraculously overnight.
Seems like a waste of a good sword.
Seems like magic to me.
Mm.
I have served several lords, and I have listened to the counsels of wise men, and I have always heard that magic comes with a price often too terrible to bear. And yet there are many who go out in great numbers every day, flocking to Londinium in order to try their hand at the sword, because it says He who shall pull me out is the rightful king of England. Or something like that.
Interesting.
I gave it a try. It didn't go anywhere. I must say, I suspect the druid Merlin may be behind this.
It sounds like something he would do.
It stinks of witchcraft.
Put a sword out that no one can pull.
I'm worried that he is attempting to attract as many people as possible to London before he does something. Something evil.
Perhaps we will take a trip to London then to see what this sword is about. If there is something to be done to thwart Merlin.
Perhaps. There is little time. Irish fleets gather in the west, a new wave of Saxons in the south. And obviously this Atheling comes from the east.
Yes. What
London
do you know of
is
him?
pinned between two forces. I don't know much about this Atheling Esquine. I know plenty about the Saxons of Essex. He will come to conquer in the way that the Saxons do, asking for a knee and tribute, and if it is not given, crush all resistance. You tell me, does Salisbury have the strength of arms to fight off this Essexian invader?
There are still many strong arms in Salisbury. Enough to keep our land safe.
Hundreds?
Does Kendric know the total number?
I mean, it's about 30 knights last time you checked, and
like 30 knights and maybe
a
a
huge
couple
number
hundred.
of them belong to either the Order of the Axe or are your
Or
family
Huel.
members.
Yeah. We do not have the same numbers we had in Earl Roderick's time. No.
No one has the same numbers.
Yes.
There are
But
many dead.
the Countess is shrewd and a wise woman. She leads well in her son's name. And there are others, allies still to be called on. Did you happen to travel through Silchester on your way here?
Yes.
And how is the good Duke?
He has sent his own courier. I expect that you should get word directly from the mouth rather than from me. He does not look well. He says, also not looking well.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the feast, Sir Brastius. Eat, drink, take part of our hospitality. Salisbury is a home for you as much as anywhere else.
My only home is service to the king.
And I think, like, Kendric just kind of doesn't say anything to that and just kind of stands up and walks away.
You hear him muttering to himself, failed again. So many dead. Great, Kinnead, what do you got going on? You want to hire those jonglers?
If there are any to be hired here today, then yes.
Make a roll.
what would this be?
Gosh, I think maybe courtly or whatever the opposite of courtly is. One of those for sure.
Let's see. I definitely wouldn't do so well at courtesy.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
unfortunate.
Uh,
I'll take intrigue.
yeah, it's a 50-50. Hey, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, if you say so. I would have given it top marks. Spoon, just thanks. I appreciate that. Someone, at least. Someone. I was drowning on that one. You meet with a pack of troubadours who are looking for a client of recognition. And in the process, you hear at their table that they, understand the local area is dangerous, travel is restrictive, and yet, what a time to get away with travel. The people that spread the news are the ones that control the news. And whosoever can secure a suitable funding from a lord and that lord's protection could do very well, eat and drink like kings at every village. As you approach them, you can see that they are 4 men, sized somewhat short, kind of medium, tall, and very tall. Also, as they get taller, they get broader and heavier. And all together, they appear to have a singing musical group where each of them is part of a different vocal range.
We have invented the barbershop quartet.
Yeah, I didn't want to say exactly that, but it's exactly that.
Gentlemen.
They all stand and remove their hats and say, "Oh, my lord, Sir Kneed, what can we do for you?"
My half-brother used to surround himself with jonglers, and I think that might be something that I would be interested in cultivating. Tell me a bit about yourselves.
Oh, well, you see, we all used to be surgeons in the local battle. Barber surgeons, and after St. Albans, there hasn't been much call for work, but the 4 of us met on that battlefield, and as we were mourning together, we noticed a strange harmony. Yes, it was almost like we were thugs in harmony amongst the bones.
And what shall I call you?
We have come to the conclusion that we shall be called Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Do you enjoy a good breakfast? And does Tiffany still work out behind the Jakes?
It is Lady Tiffany that we speak of.
Ah, my bad.
The court gossip of London. A very powerful woman. See, now people are asking who Tiffany is. Oh, don't worry. I've got this whole thing ready to go, guys. Tonight's plot was written by Freddie Wong and Will Arnett, Matt Arnold, Beth May, and most certainly by a certain game master. We're doing meme names all night long. Yes, one day we should hope to perform so well that we might attend breakfast with Lady Tiffany, who could accelerate our careers to the highest in the land, which is why we have named ourselves Breakfast at Tiffany's, in honor of our goal, which we hope to one day achieve. and beyond.
Well, it is good to have goals, gentlemen. But in the meantime, would you be willing to take up a commission under me?
Is there a song you would have written? Perhaps a tune? Would you have a lady be swoon in your favor if you don't mind my asking?
I'm actually, I had a song of my duel commissioned by a friend, and I hand over the music that Gwgan had composed for me. But feel free to make it your own.
He takes a look at it and says, the prose is formulaic. There's something to it. And you would have us create and perform.
Indeed.
That's a hell of a concept.
Seems like something that would be up your alley. Eventually, perhaps, if you perform enough places, then perhaps you will come to notice of Lady Tiffany.
So much vanilla ice.
Yeah, thank you.
Shows right now. Yeah. I say you just ask them if they can get with this.
Hey, look, we did Sir Brastius, and that was dark. Okay.
We got to keep it light, baby. Keep it
I'm
light.
sorry. As soon as Glimo was like, I want another troop, I was like, let me write some stuff down right here. And I'm just going to Google real quick some stuff from the 90s. We're going to make it happen. Yeah, so they get down to brass tacks with you because it sounds like you aren't hiring them on, you're not sponsoring them. You just want them to do a single track for you, essentially. You want them to promote your words musically.
Yes.
Okay. They're willing to do, you can negotiate on it, or they're flat willing to do this for £2.
I'll pay the £2.
Okay.
I'd encourage it because I only rolled a 1 on my compose roll, so you might want to get them to remix it first.
I told them to make it their own, so.
Add their own spin to it, yeah.
It's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mom! Rolling her body. Okay. We're through that disaster. Well, it's back around to you, James.
Look, I think that I will actually approach the Atheling Prince.
Okay. Ace Quine.
Yeah.
Hello?
Greetings, sir. Is it? Do you have a formal address among your people? Would it be my lord?
Atheling? Prince is fine.
I wanted to welcome you to Sarum Castle. I'm sure that the Countess has already offered you welcome, but I am one of the Knights of Salisbury, and I wanted to first extend my welcome to you, and then speak a little bit about what brings you to Sarum today.
You don't ask your Countess this question, you come right to me?
Well, I mean, I'm asking you because you are the most direct. I can hear it secondhand from her, or I can hear it firsthand from you.
They start stroking a chin beard and goes, direct. Very knightly of you.
And asked, I hope with respect.
I'm here to talk peace. War is expensive. Peace is cheap. Peace, you pay coin. War, coin and blood.
So this piece is part of a tribute then?
Tribute's good.
Is it only money that interests the Saxons of East Saxony?
Food, cattle. Our lands get raided by knights. Some of the peasants, what do you call them, serfs? They get handsy. They want to set barns on fire. They want to run away in the night. This is a problem. We need cows. Money and cows. And there will be peace with Essex. And there will not just be peace. We will tell the other Saxons, leave them alone.
And how much sway does your king have with the other Saxon kings?
I have good sway. I am strong, powerful. And also, I'm good looking, which means a lot.
Apologies, but if you're a prince, then do you not serve a king?
I do.
And this offer comes with your father's blessing?
Comes with my blessing.
Interesting. I only ask these questions because I'm sure once you make your case to the Countess that there will be discussions among her trusted advisors.
And you're one of them?
When I am given the honor enough to provide counsel, I do. I can't guarantee she will call for my counsel or any knight's counsel. She is a strong woman who has raised a strong child.
Hmm.
So,
Strong child. The child is 9 years old? 8? Has he killed anyone yet?
It's not been on the field of battle, but that does not mean that he does not know how to wield the lives of men.
Hmm. Must be nice.
Very well. Well, you've answered my questions. Is there any questions that you have of me?
You know about this mad bear?
That particular sobriquet belongs to one of my brothers, Sir Kendric of Pitton.
Brother. Yes.
Brother in arms. I'm sure you understand.
So he's here.
Indeed. Would you like an introduction?
Would I be safe? They say he rips berserkers apart with his bare hands.
Whatever his ferocity, it is tempered by his honor. And his honor will tell him that his liege has given you her protection.
They say he runs wild like a dog everywhere in the neighborhood, killing, rutting. He does it to your men in the south. He does it to our men in the north.
I've heard similar things said of many Saxons, which is why I'm not given to idle gossip. I only believe what I see on the battlefield.
He raises a cup and loudly says, "To Sir Kendric, the Saxon of the West." And there is dead silence in the hall. Esquine says, "It's a joke."
I think Kendrick turns around and stares at him in the face and raises his hand and says, "To the hammer of Salisbury."
Yeah. He turns to look at you and raises his cup and says, "To the hammer of Salisbury."
But did anyone else echo Kendrick's toast?
I don't think so. I think that it's just really quiet right now.
All right.
He leans in towards you, Gwgan, and says, "Does he mean the hammer or his dick?" We hear the song in the East. I don't speak your language as good as I want, but it's got a pretty good tune.
Once again, not given to idle gossip. Clearly, continental humor and British humor are somewhat different.
So you say. Maybe. We've been here long enough. Maybe one day we're a little bit more British than you think.
Now, were you born here, Prince?
He raises an eyebrow, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I think the Vikings settled settlements in like around 270, so they've been here for like over 200 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that the current wave of invasion are mostly from people out of state.
Yeah.
Looking to move in.
Yeah. I mean,
He
this is roughly,
doesn't answer in the way that his weirdness allows him for.
I mean, this is roughly 230 years after the Vikings TV series, for example.
I agree that that is true.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there in a short time, what's the one about the Netflix series about the guy trying to unite Southern England?
The Last Kingdom?
The Last Kingdom, yeah, will happen soon.
Well, perhaps one day we'll find a way for us Angles and you Saxons to reach a commonality.
Saxons and Angles working together? It's what, the Franks?
Some sort of Anglo-Saxons, I don't know.
I like Saxon Anglos better. You know, I just like Saxon better. How about that? We're a big tent. We account for a lot of people.
Enjoy hospitality of Sarum while it's extended to you.
Such a nice city. Without any walls, you can see so far.
Sarum has walls.
Sarum Castle has walls.
Okay.
It's literally a topic for discussion on the docket this year. That's why I'm saying it, is to foreshadow the later discussion. And it also sounds really threatening without actually threatening anyone.
For sure. It's the nice city you got here.
Yeah.
It's a shame if something happened to it.
I mean, this guy's here to get tribute. What do you want me to be like? Oh, I'm here as your friend. No, of course not.
Could I find somebody, is there anybody in court who writes the Saxon language?
Writes the Saxon language.
Yeah.
You know, James, I'll let you throw a d20, and on an 11 plus, there will be such a person. We're just going full Anthony today. Nope.
No.
If you ask around if anyone knows how to write Saxon, and there are some people that are like, they have a written language?
I'm assuming because this prince can read too. Okay, so given I can't find that, what I will do is between now and when he leaves, like I assume he's not leaving today, but you know, I'm going to send back to Shrewton to have the Cornish poultry that I received as a gift bought here, and because he needs food, I will be gifting him from me, not from Salisbury, my Cornish poultry, just because, and I'll say later because I realize he has an obsession with cocks. So,
how Christian of you to give in such a time of need. Charitable, really.
that's right. He needs food, but so I'm crossing off my.
This has to be a roll.
All right, I am crossing off my Cornish poultry.
I thought there was something like giving. Oh, it's generous.
Generous.
I would like you to check for... No, I don't think I want you to check for anything. I will have you check generous.
Okay.
And also check proud as well.
Okay.
Well, Kendric, since we appear to be going circularly, is there anything you'd like to do?
The representative from Duke Ulfius. I'd like to go speak with
The
them.
courier from Duke Ulfius. You go to speak with him, and the courier is standing in... so it's not like in times past with the feast where you would speak individually with such a person. They're mostly like, oh, I'm getting wined and dined because I'm a courier. Now I'm going to give one proclamation officially, and then I'm not going to talk about it again. Sort of deal. And you are there when he says, I shall now read the proclamation from Duke Ulfius. We need a king, a legitimate one, not that nonsense about a sword. The Collegium of Legates is going to meet at Silchester, my hometown. The candidates are coming from all across Britain. Ulfius is largely recovering from his wounds. And then he rolls up the scroll and is like, any questions, comments, or concerns? Please like, or if you'd like to, you can subscribe to my newsletter to receive annual updates on the doings of Duke Ulfius. Thank you very much. I'll be here for the rest of the night.
What is it you speak of swords and stones?
Oh, yes, there's a sword and an anvil and a stone. So you can't forget the anvil. It should be called the sword, the anvil, and the stone. The anvil's very important. There's some writing on it. People say it's magic. It can't be pulled out. It says the true king will be the only one that can pull it out. That sort of nonsense.
Where is this sword and anvil?
It's, it's in the middle of
It's in
like
London.
a small churchyard in London. It's always snowing there for some reason. The starlight falling upon it is magnificent. Just seems like the moon is always peeking through the clouds right onto the blade. Fantastic.
Is it in a small courtyard or is it in front of the cathedral?
It's in front of St. Paul's.
Yeah, I thought it was in front of St. Paul's Cathedral.
I don't know how big St. Paul's is. I'm kind of going off the Disney cartoon.
You mean the Disney cartoon, The Sword and the Stone?
The sword and the anvil and the stone, yes. I'm making some historical revisions.
You said
You can see this guy
candidates.
is writing this story down. The sword and the anvil and the stone. It's such a good novel title.
Which candidates are coming from across? I wasn't aware there were any.
Oh, just random people off the street, just peasants try and put their hands on it and try to pull it out. A lot of tugging and yanking, really.
Oh, so the candidates that are coming from all across Britain are coming to try and pull the sword from the stone, not to the Collegium?
No. Well, I mean, we're talking about two different types of candidates. Like,
I see.
tons of people want to be recognized as the one true king of Britain, of course, but the candidates coming to the Collegium are coming to speak with Ulfius about deciding on a legitimate successor.
I see.
Not using we don't even know who put that sword there. You can't just decide who's going to run a kingdom based on strange swords being deposited in churchyards with writing on them. First off, can you imagine how much it costs to write on a sword? It's not like it's ink. That was tempered in there.
Well,
Can you imagine what that did to the structure of the blade to have someone tap out some text on it?
Isn't the writing on the anvil? That's what Serbrastius said.
What? No, it's on the sword itself.
Fair enough. Very well. I have no further questions.
I didn't know we were doing questions.
You asked if there were questions.
Have another glass of wine.
Glimo, what do you got?
I dislike his post, by the way.
I don't think Kinnead
Wow.
Down vote.
That's okay because they don't track that anymore.
That's right. Yeah, well, it doesn't show anybody else, but yeah, I know.
How Christian of you.
I don't think that Kinnead has anything else that he needs to get accomplished.
Fantastic. When we return for the second third of this particular episode, we'll be talking to the Countess about why this guy's here and what needs to be done in the local area. And maybe we might even hear about a rap being passed around in the background. You know, maybe I might have done some sort of mid-episode introduction, but James really killed my mood in regards to trying to meme. Yeah, welcome back to the second third. Now's a great time, now that I got YouTube hooked on this shit, and we seamlessly fused with the last video, to advertise the fact that we have a Pal World community server with several openly available spots. Head on to Discord and hit the P in the emote section to join our secret Pal World conclave. Pal World, it's like what Pokemon could be if the largest media franchise in all of history made any changes whatsoever to its formula since 1995. And it's got guns. It's pretty good. We come back with Gwent going, and I heard there's a hammer on an anvil in the middle of London that's too heavy for anyone to lift. And if you lift it, all of the Saxons will follow you because you'll have the power of their gods.
So what did the rest of you make of this supposed rumor about a sword?
A hammer.
Well, we just heard from a man speaking to the whole court that was supposed to be a sword.
I heard it was a hammer.
How would you put a hammer in an anvil?
On
You
the
said
anvil.
it's
It's
not-
on the
hammer.
anvil. Why would you put a sword through an anvil into a rock? I
That's
think
what I said.
my way sounds better, for sure. And I heard
That's
it
what I
from a
told
cousin.
Brastius. I said, sounds like a waste of the sword.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Listen, would my uncle's cousin lie to me? His lord?
I'm just disappointed that there are stories of a miracle, a sword appearing overnight in front of a cathedral in a land which has no king, promising to declare a king which is God's representative in our realm, and nobody thinks it could be divine providence. Right? Everyone goes straight to witchcraft.
You make an excellent point, Sir Gwgan. Your god is prone to these types of displays.
Given, I think prone implies that it's some sort of failure.
Mm. Well, we could always go to London, see for ourselves.
Gwent cracks his knuckles and says, I bet I could lift a hammer. I bet you could lift a hammer.
Well, hammer, sword. I don't think it'll hurt to give it a try.
I'm telling you, the sword thing doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
Well,
see, I'm less inclined to believe it's God's intervention if it's a hammer that makes Saxons follow you, given the Saxons are ungodly.
Except the ones who convert to Christianity, of course.
But then they're not Saxon anymore.
Yeah.
I must admit, I'm a little more concerned about this meeting of the enclave that's going to happen next door to us
The Collegium, yes.
than I
Indeed,
am about
I think a trip to
than I am about rumors about some sort of weapon that will make you king.
I agree. I think that a trip to Londinium right now is a frivolous move when there is so much happening here beneath our feet.
Gwent nods, but puts his elbow and his arm flat against the table and leans in, and he says, unless one of us is the true king of England.
Which of us do you think is the true king of England, Gwent?
Someone who could lift a hammer.
I'm not the true king of England, Gwent.
I can lift a hammer.
That's God's will. Then God's path will lead you there.
In any case, we also have to deal with this atheling. We should speak to the Countess.
You go to speak to the Countess, and she goes to speak to everybody, interrupting your train of thought. The Countess explains to all present here that Prince Esquine is the son of the King of Essex, and that he is here to ask for peace and tribute, not for vassalage. He wants 100 cattle and 100 pounds of silver, and he will offer protection from any enemy who invades. She is looking around the room and trying to gauge interest in this message of peace and submission. And how are you guys feeling?
Like I want to talk to her about it.
Okay, that's not helpful to her though, because she's, this is the public, this is the this is the group project portion of the assignment.
Yeah, is the Aswine, is he
is here
nearby?
He is watching. And his Dutch actor is also, nearby listening.
He promises protection from invasion. With how many swords do they bring to the battlefield?
How many swords do you need to protect the battlefield? What if just the threat of swords is more than enough to make your foes leave? Essex is strong and powerful and noble.
I have no doubt. You're also half a country away.
It's like a tenth of a country. It's not a very big country.
How long does this protection last for this tribute?
A year. We talk again next year.
I think Kendric is just like sizing up Aswine. Like, how big is he?
Make an insight check.
Did
you say how big is he?
Yeah, like how big is he? How what does he look like? He's a good fighter. He's just trying
Make
to get
an
his
awareness roll.
That's a fail.
He's a big man.
Yeah.
Seems like an idiot.
Okay. Yeah.
What do we do if, after we pay this tribute, the South Saxons come to us asking for tribute to protect us from the East Saxons?
You don't
Do we send them to you?
You don't need protection from us if you pay protection.
So you speak for the South Saxons then as well.
I say, if the South Saxons say you need protection from us, they are lying. I'll tell you what I say. I like English knights. You've got devious minds. You think a lot. Saxons don't think like you do. I don't do hypotheticals. I don't answer the hypotheticals. The edge of the axe is the only hypothetical I need. You pay for peace, you get peace. If the South Saxons bother you after you pay tribute to us, they have a problem with us. We solve it the Saxon way. That's my promise to you. Any other discussions of hypotheticals, I'll leave it to devious English knights.
Your Grace, would it be possible to confer in a smaller group before Salisbury is a decision on this?
Our guest will be departing shortly, and he will be expecting an answer from us in some time. I expect that we should have this discussion now, then, and you can see that Esquine is preparing to leave. And that is not the only matter of interest here today. At this point, Kinnead, a servant taps on your shoulder and says, "Excuse me, Sir Kinnead. There are some knights here to speak with you. Sir Kendric, you're here as well. There is a messenger who's interrupted the feast to speak with you."
Is it the same knights that want to speak with Sir Kinnead?
I don't believe so. Should I go and find out?
You get a name.
They were dames.
Probably my cousins.
I'll go speak with your messenger then.
I will go in.
Again, I trust you will give the Countess good counsel.
Best I can. May
As
God guide me.
Esquine leaves, leaving a much less Dutch room, and Sir Gwgan prepares to take over the conference table. Maybe he'll even GM his own section here. Kendric, you go to meet with a messenger who hands you a letter that says the following: Morlays and Rise return with prayers from the Christian God for mercy and justice upon your land. There is little that can be done in the West. I must look after my own lands and family.
Okay.
The messenger coughs lightly while holding his hand out. Come a long
Second
way
from
with this
skin.
message, my lord. Dangerous roads out there. Cold winter.
I drop a couple denarii into his hand.
Appreciative.
This comes from King Nanteliad.
I don't ask where my leg of the message comes from. I just deliver it.
Very well.
I don't know what's in it either.
Very well.
See him leaving the hall counting his coins and goes, "King who? Of what? Nanteliad. Never heard of him." I don't know why he's slowly becoming from New York. I feel like an end of a sentence went kind of New York, and then I just degraded from there.
Yeah, he's horse.
All right.
Yeah?
But they're not back yet.
They are on their way.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good to know.
Kinnead,
Yes.
you meet with Braith, Meafy, and Sorry?
Ifan.
Ifa. And there are several children with them. Most notably absent is the heir, or at the very least, from a certain point of view, the true heir of your manor. There are other children that are present whom you recognize. Wraith says, we went to the convent. The queen is there in mourning, and these children were left as war orphans. But when questioned, they knew who we were, and they knew that we would come looking for them. They don't know where their mother is, where the boy is.
Very well. You've done well, cousins. Thank you very much. Take them back to Laverstock after you've had chance to rest. There should still be a warm hearth in the East Hall.
So Braith steps in towards you to speak somewhat privately and says, this is a poisoned apple. These children will hate you when they grow. Their mother will have made it so. And now you must spend your money to raise these children.
I understand, but what can we do? They're innocent children. I loved my brother. I can't turn them out, pretend that they don't exist.
What will you do when your grandchild is stabbed in the back by a pretender who claims ownership of the house? It's turbulent times.
Hoping
Things
it will
happen
never
to children
come to
along
that.
on roads. No one knows they're here.
I know they're here.
She
There's been
shifts.
enough.
She puts her hand on her hip and says, well, you're certainly some kind of knight.
There's been enough death in our family. We don't need to be turning on 9-year-olds.
So Braith looks at the little kids and it's just like, all right, come with me. And she introduces herself because technically she is related by blood to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very distantly.
I mean, she's
She's our cousin.
second cousin.
If Crusader Kings has taught me one thing, it's you always murder children.
Hey, Crusader Kings 3 has taught me one thing. It's that you don't murder the children. It's that you marry them to your children as soon as possible, and then you take all of their claims and indoctrinate them into your family. So for Kinnead to solve this problem, all he has to do is have a daughter marry his her half-brother. Hey, it's Europe.
Europe in 496. It's
Hey,
not that.
I didn't say Europe in 496. I said it's Europe.
Fair enough.
Look, did I invent birthright inheritance? No.
Well, if I have Gwendolyn, she is the eldest. I'm assuming you mean that Darwani is missing.
The eldest male heir is not here.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, do you want to interrogate these children, or do you want to just accept their stories on the face of it as they have told Brave Mifi and Fung?
I will.
3 kids just abandoned at the airport, waiting for their uncle to pick them up.
I will, but Kinnead thinks that can wait, and he needs to get back in with the Countess.
Okay, Kendric, do you feel the same way? That this,
I mean,
your issue is not a problem that needs to be solved immediately.
Yeah, like this is basically. I mean, this is kind of what Kendric expected to be returned from Nanteliad, was basically like that message is too long. I ain't gonna read that. I'm happy for you, and or sorry that happened.
I think you did hear earlier from Brastius that there were Irish ships gathering in the west, which certainly is bad news for Nanteliad.
Yeah, well, and I also like Reese and Morlaix were basically like, hey, take this message, and if he needs swords, you can serve as mercenary knights for the year.
They're on their way home. As you return, you hear that the Countess is in the process of explaining to Sir Gwgan and the others that there will be a new baron. The barony of Blakemore is being formed, and Sir Hawil this summer will be hosting a 1-week-long hunt. The winner of the hunting competition will receive a manorage underneath his holding in Devise, as he is now the Lord and Baron of Devise, and he is to be greatly honored, the most notable knight in all of Salisbury. She nods to Kendric and Kinnead as you both take your places in a smaller hall, with the knights coming closer now that the ladies have been shuffled out. We have need of new walls around Sarum and the castle, built of stone, not workmanship of wood. To re-enclose the castle, it will be 20 pounds and 100 for the entire city. Takes a whole summer of our workforce just to build 1/4 of the walls, 1/4 of the city to be restored. And we need the knights to raise this money to defend your lord.
Kendrick stands up, or steps forward. Pitton will provide 30 pounds, my lady.
Shrewton will also provide 30, and this year I will commission a quarry in my lands to provide stone.
Is Sir Hewell here?
Yes, he is. I mean, he's here for his announcement of his band.
Sure. Yeah.
Sir, something you want from him in particular? Like, are you looking at him after you said this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting. Like I'm not like staring him down or anything, but like he is the most notable knight in Salisbury now, and also has the most manners.
He did just announce that he's holding a huge hunt in the middle of summer.
Sure.
That will be paid for by him.
Okay.
Hunts are expensive. Bring the community together. You stare at him and he just meets you blankly smiling. Like, no? You need something? Something on my face? Sir Gwent rises and says, I will commit 10 pounds to this project from my lands. Which, as far as you guys know, is the entire income of his lands. And he's
Gwgan has
only
two.
been the knight of those lands for 1 year.
He has 2 manors, though.
He does have 2 manors now. You're right.
Yeah.
Still, it is no small sum to commit to for someone of his means.
How much
We're
would
still
this
30
cost
short.
about?
60,
Yeah.
well, it's 60 of the 120 total needed.
We've got
Well,
70
we're
so far.
70 now with Gwen.
Yes, 70. So
We
50
still have 30
remain.
left. Oh, it's 20.
100
okay, so,
for the city
120,
and
yeah,
20
yeah.
for the outer walls. I need the man who recently fought an enormous battle that almost took people to war over money, desperately checking his sheet to see what he can donate.
Exactly.
I mean, this won't all be built in a year, though, will it?
There's no way it can be built in 1 year. It's
So,
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way to build it in 1 year is to make it a quarter to. So the
This
walls
guy reading the book. I
No,
know you've run
you
this.
just said
I
you
did
just
say
said
that.
you
It's
said it
not-
was to make it a quarter tall.
Yes.
In the 5.2 book, the walls of Sarum are 40 feet high, so it would take it from a 40-foot wall to a 10-foot wall.
They're rebuilding the walls completely.
Like I'm just reading what the book says.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes.
So what I'm getting at, though, is do we need to meet the all 120 up front before this can start?
It would help to get the full funding before. Listen, this is Kickstarter. If you don't meet the minimum needed, you can't start the project. Everyone's funds will be returned and everyone will be disappointed. No one's getting that leather brown signed Brandon Sanderson novel. That's all I'm saying.
Overstock will contribute 20.
That puts us at 90.
There are various calls, and it is clear that some knights are negotiating among themselves to see what can be done for the last 30, but your generosity has opened the gates. Privately, the Countess pulls the 3 of you aside and indicates that your willingness to give will be rewarded with additional manors. Sir Kendric, you will receive Berwick St. James. Sir Gwgan, you will take Winterbourne Stoke. And Sir Kinnead, you'll take Steeple Langford, as he hands empty manors that only have peasants and few men among them left. But lands that require leadership nonetheless.
I will commit that Wayne's estate will make up whatever shortfall the other knights can't cover.
Yeah, I was going to say also when Huel doesn't do anything, if there's
Listen, I know you're shit talking this guy, but he is now responsible for the entire northwest defense of the whole county.
Yeah,
He
also
has
gets
a
the
new castle
incomes.
he has to move into and solve problems for.
He gets all the incomes
You're
of the
like,
entire
yeah, he's got the
Northwest
incomes.
County.
You know what else he's got? The problems.
More money, more problems.
I was gonna say, Sir Quill is sitting there with sunglasses and a bottle of 40-ounce malt liquor going, I got 99 problems, Sir Kendric. You want to talk about them?
But if Gwgan commits Sir Owain's estates to covering up the rest of it,
He will need to cover 10, as some knights give little bits, including Sir Leo. However, this does still leave the following castles empty: Ebel, Wilton, Uphaven, and Sir Amig's castle in the southeast, which was specifically created in order to guard against giants and witches. That is on the edge of a forest that is not currently called, but will one day be briefly called Camelot Forest before not being called Camelot Forest anymore. And the Countess puts the question, like, out of those, clearly the loyalty of the men of Ebel and Wilton cannot be trusted upon. But the commission of Sir Amig's castle was recent and of a necessary cause. And there is a question of who shall replace the guardian of that castle and watch against the witches of the forest and the giants that roam the plains. These are not theoretical questions. Are there any knights that have the spiritual fortitude to do justice in the lands? To combat magic and things that cannot be seen?
I look at Gwent.
Yeah, the order always stands ready for these things, but you've overwhelmed us with your generosity so far. There must be others who are also deserving in these
Okay,
lands.
you're putting Gwent forward.
Yeah.
All right. Gwent rises and says, "It's my time." He does the Arthur closes his fists moment as he raises his hand and said, "I'll do this. I will be the watcher at the edge of the forest. I will guard this castle with my life." As he goes down to take a knee, and the Countess says, "It shall be a commitment for you and your bloodline till the end of your days, Sir Gwent. Go then. Watch the forest." And he rises. But as he does, he gets halfway up, and then they like freeze frame a painting, and it's like, "Sir Gwent, rise to power." It's his album cover. You can mark down that Sir Gwent is only a member in name of the Order of the Axe, as he now resides full-time in the castle of Sir Ameg. I believe it's near Tilsbead, but I'd have to double-check. He's got that Camelot state of mind.
So I don't ask the Countess right now, this is something for later on, but out of interest, the households that she's given us, there's two ways a household can be gifted. It can be gifted to you personally, and then when you die, it goes back to
No, this is a
grant.
grant.
It's a grant. Yeah, okay.
Which ones did you guys get again, by the way?
I got Winterborn Stoke.
I got Steeple Langford. Is Fault still empty?
Sorry, which one?
Alt.
Can you spell it for me?
FALT?
Ebis' Manor.
Yes, it is. And it's one of the major stops on the progress. That's the nightly progress for the Countess. There's still a question on the table, the Countess says, gathering everyone back together now that the good news and the charitable news has been done, about whether or not we shall take the piece of Acequine or not. What little funds we have will go to this. But I would hear from you.
My lady?
Yes, please.
I, first off, don't see this particular request as being overly arduous. 100 pounds of silver, 100 head of cattle is, I think, a relatively fair price to pay if it does buy a guaranteed peace for a year. I think that this is the first year the Saxons have begun asking for tribute post the king's death, and it will not be the last. I think that this year, those estates that don't pay tribute, or those regions don't pay tribute, will find themselves made examples of. I think that the real question will come in coming years, because people will see that Salisbury is paid. They will up their price. More will come seeking tribute. I don't want us to get into a situation where tribute is assumed, but I think that this year it would almost guarantee us freedom from the horrors of war, as those who have not paid will be focused on.
Are there any others who have counsel to put forward?
Sir Gwgan speaks wisely. This will, until a king rises to unite Logris, the Saxons will hunt us like sheep whose shepherds have wandered. But if we can weather the storm, I think paying 100 pounds of silver and 100 head of cattle for a year of peace is not an unreasonable demand.
As you're talking, you can see Sir Bar lean next to Sir Leo and go, I like when he talks. It's metaphors. It's easy to understand. A lot of people turn to look at you. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, we're going to look at Kneed to see if he adds anything, but you have a follow-up.
Yeah, I was going to say, there will probably come a time in the coming years that the tribute will be too high, and we will be forced to pay in steel and blood. Let's just make sure that we have the credit when that debt comes due.
I want you to know, in the background, the leader of Breakfast at Tiffany's is writing down "Steel in Blood." Credit is due. He's like, this is incredible. Oh my, tears are streaming down his face. And he's like, I have to. Everything he's saying, we could do this. But he's just looking at the original lyrics and his new lyrics. He's like, it's a remix. We're mixing them together.
And I think Kendric says, your husband gifted me my hammer. And when he did, he asked me its name. And I told him that it would be earned on the field. Its first name is Saxon Breaker.
Wow. All right. Plenty of people are like, yeah, what a great name. And some people are like, ooh, we're paying tribute to the Saxons. So we've got Saxon Breaker, the hammer from the Mad Wolf. Ooh, yikes.
There is something else that we could consider when that time comes, that the tribute is no longer approachable. It's a different debt that could be paid in blood, and one that we would need to begin to prepare for in the coming years. But the Saxons have been here for many decades, if not over 100 years. We've lost many good men, which means we have a lot of widows. We could potentially consider where marriages might begin to create bonds between Britain and Saxony, begin to dilute their blood with British blood.
There's a lot of gasping, and Sir Leo says, would that also not mean that we dilute British blood with Saxon blood?
Would require that said Saxons convert to Christianity first.
All right, Sir Leo's like, okay, good plan. It's a good start. It's a good start.
It's been 200 years and 4 kings, and we haven't evicted these invaders from our lands entirely.
It's a lot of murmuring when you say that. A lot of murmuring, and not any of it good. You catch real quickly someone just saying, what's next? More of this Duplain Republican nonsense?
I'm sorry if my words cause discomfort, but we are a land without a king. And despite the fact that a collegiate is to be held in Salisbury, I don't see the College of Kings naming a high king anytime soon, especially not with Logos currently without a king at all. We will be perceived as weak. We need to be seen to be strong, but we also need to be preparing for our future. I sit down. I've said enough. Ultimately, it's your choice, my lady.
Somewhere in the background, the barber surgeon quartet is currently writing Age of Oppression from the Skyrim soundtrack. Based on everything you said, remixed with special guest appearance by Sir Kendric. Sorry.
I might not agree with everything my brothers have said, but it is clear we don't have the manpower to take on Essex this year, or Sussex.
Someone shouts, "What about Wessex?"
I don't think Essex exists yet, does it?
It doesn't.
No, it does.
Does it?
Exists. Yeah.
I thought this was Wessex. Am I crazy?
No. I mean, look. I mean, it will be. I guess. I mean, Salisbury is still a different region to Wessex now, but it will. Like Wessex does already. There is.
I'm looking at a map of Wessex, and it includes Laverstock and Winchester, which is pretty Salisbury-ish to me. Am I crazy?
I mean, if you have a look in, I think if you go to the start of the period, which starts in 496 in the Great Pendragon campaign, it tells you what I think there are like 5 or 6 different Saxon kingdoms in Britain, and it tells you who their kings are in each period. I think Wessex is.
Isn't Wessex literally founded this year? Isn't
I was
it?
I think it happens this year, doesn't it?
I'm like, okay, no, it's okay. There you go.
So hey, in a way, you're right.
It pains me to pay essentially a blood price, but desperate times. Let's just make sure that we rebuild quickly so that we needn't pay it long.
Sir Leo raises his drink and says, "There's a price to be paid. But to be honest, it's worth it for an on-demand homicidal circus." Yeah, you're not going to get that reference, Spoon. It is a reference. You're just not going to get it. Don't worry about that one. There's about 2 people who watch the show that are going to get that. And that one was for you guys. Don't worry. I got you covered. Based on everything you said, the Countess agrees. And there are plans being drawn up to have the followers of Essex come and gather up the cattle. And for not exactly knights, but for important men of Essex to come and escort a treasure caravan loaded with 100 pounds of silver. And then drive it right through Ulfius' lands and right past London.
Mm-hmm.
As the meeting breaks up, you can hear several people talking about going to London, trying to pull out the sword. Some people are talking about a hammer. Other people are talking about how there is a sword and an anvil and a stone, but the message is written on a ribbon that's been tied to the end of the sword. Other people insist none of it's real and that it's just London nonsense that's been made up.
As the meeting breaks up, Sir Kendric approaches the Countess. Countess Ellen, I have some candidates about the matter we spoke.
Yes.
So those among the county that I feel might be able to fulfill the requirements of the position. There is Sir Bar, or I've narrowed it down to 2 people. Sir Naroon the Brutal.
Or Sir Bar.
Or Sir Bar. If you would like my opinion on which of the 2 I favor, I think Sir Bar is strong, a good fighter. I'm not sure he's the smartest, Sir Naroon is probably the one I would favor out of the two.
Why?
Although he is quite ruthless, because I think he's smarter than Sir Bar.
Thank you for your... So I will take it under consideration.
Of course.
She just went nod.
I'll take that as a sign of that he is dismissed.
Just that there are no more conversation options in the wheel.
Yeah. Right.
There's a grayed out Paragon option, but you have it. Yeah. You need an 8 here on Novacek or whatever, and you only have a 7.
Yeah.
Feels like a good time to take the final break before we head into the last part.
Sounds
Not
good.
breaking.
I really can't get you guys to go to London to check out the sword hammer, huh?
Kendric is going to go.
Kendric's going to go.
Yeah.
He sees that it's not a hammer and immediately turns around and goes back home.
No, there was one of the things you said last episode about there being a lack of steel in the area. One of the things I wanted to do this year was to commission some swords.
Ah, there it is. Interesting.
And so he sounds like he's going to have to go to London to do that.
Should have just gone to Scarborough Fair. That's all I'm saying. All right. We'll be back in about 5 minutes for that final part. All right, Spoon, tell us about Kendric's bizarre adventures. Diamonds are unbreakable.
I mean, I think he's just going to London. Well, so he's going to London now to see the sword as well, but also to commission these swords. And you know, he'll let. I think at the feast he'll let Gwgan and Kinnaid and Gwent know. I'm planning to go to London in the spring now. I had other business before, but now with this sword,
Going to try to raise the hammer, are you?
I'll at least go see what it's about. If you'd like to come with me, you're welcome to travel. But I will understand if you need to stay home.
I mean, if you specifically need my help, I'm more than willing to come. But if it's just the companionship, while I do enjoy, well, obviously we enjoy each other's companionship. We have a lot to do here, having lost some of our cattle, and I need to spend some time making sure that both Shrewton is well cared for, and also make myself familiar with Winterbourne Stoke.
I understand.
I feel similarly, especially with how far away from my own holdings this Steeple Langford is.
Very well.
But if you do draw the sword or let the hammer become king, I'll be the first to bend the knee.
I'll be sure to make you one of my closest advisors, Sir Gwgan. Maybe a duke. The dukedom will be in your future. And I'll also let the Countess know if she needs any like messages delivered to Duke Ulfius or anywhere along the way that I'm heading that way.
You are burdened with numerous messages from many across the county who wish news to go from Ulfius's lands of Silchester afar or directly to London, leaving you with a sack traveling alone. You can also write down that it costs you 30 denarii to make the round trip.
Okay. Like, wait, 30 denarii?
Yeah, 30 D.
Okay.
Denarii, which is less than a pound.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure.
It's 240 denarii to a pound. So
I will make a note.
Look, man, I'm following the rules.
Sure.
Okay. I did
I know,
some
those-
math. All
Those will
right.
add up. Eventually, you get to conspicuous consumption.
Hey,
I think
you know
I
what?
think-
You think you're made of money right up until your lands are raided and there's a bad brownie that's in your
Listen.
house eating all your food. They've driven your wife off.
I'm pretty sure at some point in the book it says, "Don't worry about anything less, any expenses less than a pound."
You know what?
But I will make a note here.
if you look after your blooms, the pieces of 8 will take care of themselves.
There you go.
Jesus. Okay. Not everyone's as rich as you are, Kendric. All right.
This is knight privilege right here.
Yeah, for sure. It's player character privilege for certain. Hey, let's buy everything in the town for 5,000 gold. Someone's just going, oh my God, inflation.
Yeah, you just ruined the local economy.
That's right. Yeah.
What's
So
what was it?
I'd never play a game where the group walks into town and buys all the alcohol in town.
Was it Mansa Musa who was
Yes.
so rich he traveled the world and he globally destroyed the economies of several nations, which being like, hey man, I'm really rich and I just want to tell everyone about how rich I am. I guess it helps that you're one of like 5 places on the earth that gold naturally occurs in large numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
You make a trip to London, which is not one of those places where the gold naturally occurs in
No.
large numbers. Instead, poverty, crime, general malaise, a stinking odor. As spring comes along, ships begin traveling to and from the Frankish coasts and, of course, afar. And it is a terrible, terrible city. They call it the Rome of the North. And it smells bad. And it is a bad place. But you are a knight, which means you are left alone, more or less. You find yourself outside the great cathedral at what is very obviously a sword driven through an anvil into a stone, where it definitely has words written on it, which have followed some of the stories you've heard and others that don't. When you sense that someone from the crowd has stepped up beside you to talk to you, which is rather unusual, since only a knight or some other kind of peer would dare to do so.
I look over it then.
You are looking at a elderly gentleman with sparkling blue eyes and white, giant, bushy eyebrows and a long, pointed beard. And when I say long, I know I only did this far. It's down past his waist. It's like ZZ Top meets Patrick Rothfuss level of beard.
It's Dumbledore.
Yes, it's Dumbledore. That's who this is, obviously.
It's the sorcerer from
And to top it all
Disney's.
off, they are wearing a gigantic blue wizard's hat with a little moon hanging off the dangling ornament. Ah, hello there, Sir Kendric.
I look around for rose petals.
There are no rose petals, and this man looks nothing like the young druid that you've met before.
Sure. All right. Do I know you?
We've met before. I am the druid Merlin.
I look him up and down. You've gotten quite old.
I'm going forwards, not backwards this time. You've gotten quite old. Or young,
I'm
depending on how you
only
look at
32.
it. Last time I saw you, you were younger. Or older, depending on how you look at it.
All right.
It's not always a sword, you know.
What do you mean?
He gestures towards the sword in the stone.
What is it in... I don't... What is it? Okay. Did you put it there?
I did.
So who's the true king of England?
I'd say the true king of England is the true king of England.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you think it's you. But considering I was there for their birth, and they didn't look anything like you.
Well, it can't hurt to try.
He smiles in that twinkling old man Disney sword in the stone sort of way.
Sure. Before I go try to become the king of England, any idea on when they might show up? We could really use a king soon.
It'll be a long time before a little baby boy is ready to be king of England. You're putting a lot on the shoulders of quite a young creature. Are you ready to do that? Can you not bear the burdens of Britain for a little longer? He'll come when he's ready, when he's needed. The once and future king, and then once and future king appears as the Game of Thrones song begins playing.
And the camera pulls back from the sword and
Just
stone.
nothing but references. Yeah. No, but he does say the once and future king.
Okay. Well, Kendric will approach the sword and give it a tug.
Now, here's a little fact I know about the sword and the stone at Disney.
Mm-hmm.
The entertainers that gather in that plaza all have access to a secret button somewhere on their uniform or equipment that will allow them to let someone pull the sword out. And they don't do it that often. And it's mostly for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you approach and you find yourself stuck in Republic values, as even though you are a knight of some renown, you are made to wait in line with all of the other peasants to pull the sword out. That's the most Christian thing to do. Wait in line. It's also the most British thing to do.
Yeah, it's very British. Sure.
I'm going to make that joke every week, I think. Look, you and I both know you could roll a d20, but there's not a 21 on that die. So
Yeah.
You put your hands on it and it doesn't feel right. It feels heavy and it's too small for your grip.
Do I recognize it?
Do you recognize the feel of the sword?
No, the look of the sword.
The look of the sword. Make a fairy lore roll.
Very lower.
Don't we have a direct, or don't you have a directed trait about?
I have honor among Fae.
Oh, okay.
Failure. Close, though.
Most of the sword is in the anvil, in the stone.
Sure.
It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You hear someone behind you as you zoned out slightly go, "All right, then. You've had your turn. It's time for me to claim my birthright." Gentleman missing 6 teeth who's in his 40s. I'm the real king of England. He just tries to bodily push you aside.
He just bounces off of a brick wall.
Hey, what's this then?
Kendric just walks away.
That guy goes to pull the sword out and says, "What? My dad told me he fucked the queen." People push him out of the way as more people try the sword. Someone's like, "I've been here every day this week. One of these days I'll be the true king of England."
I wonder how many people do their back trying to do it.
That's how the guy lost the 16.
No, he definitely lost them before the sword.
And I assume when I turn back around, the Merlin is gone.
Merlin is gone, of course. You know how these things work.
Yeah. So my other business in London is to find a swordsmith and commission 4 swords.
Okay. I'd like you to make a courtesy roll.
Okay.
The courtesy of your hall has lessened of late, Kendric, sir.
Can I attempt to? Well, nah, it's fine. I'll just courtesy. Success.
You wine and dine and try to make your way in a place you do not know well, in halls that are not your own, and you find several swordsmiths, of which only one is available for commissioning right now. It is a young man who meets with you. He's been tonsured, but doesn't appear to be a monk either now or perhaps even ever. And wearing simple clothing, but having truly massive arms and hands covered in calluses and bruises. He says, "The name is Iffle, my lord. I'm a craftsman of the trade. It's tough to get materials from afar. I can do
Indeed.
iron if you'd like it quick, or steel if you have time."
I have time. What is your station here, Iffle?
I'm a blacksmith, just completed my master's work. Starting my own business, as it were. Just got my LLC.
Do you have your own forge, your own smithy?
I do.
Very well.
Put us deeply in debt, but...
Well,
Oh my god, James.
I am.
I want this... No, hold on. I want this to be a YouTube comment I see in 6 months where someone goes, "What was it that made Arthur stop midway to talk about this?" It's so bad. It's so awful.
It's like everyone who has Anduin, Flame of the West hanging on their wall.
My favorite. Listen, that was my favorite part about Rings of Power. Is that the Narsil is just like sitting in a pile of other swords because it wasn't that important. It was literally just whatever sword a motherfucker had on hand.
Yeah, it's literally just his sword. It's just Elendil's sword. He's like, yeah, I wear this every day. I'm a
It's my everyday sword. It's not what it's not what I bring to court. You know,
it's not it's not King's Wrath. It's just the sword I wear every day.
The Flame of the West.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking to commission a set of swords for myself and my brothers.
What is your brotherhood called?
We are the Order of the Axe.
Okay. Strange request, but I'll hear it out.
That you want some axes.
And he'll talk about the specifics of the swords that he wants.
All right, so he starts talking to you like maybe you'd like a Viking sea axe, or maybe a falchion, or perhaps a falcata. Maybe I can sell you on an axe sword hybrid.
Just
I'm
long
really
swords.
stretching my axe sword hybrid knowledge right there, by the way. That's it. That's all of them.
I'll use it the bardiche as a backup weapon.
No, the bardiche is a polearm.
Yeah, but it's still got an axe blade.
No, but it's not a sword. It's a polearm.
But I'm just saying it fits with the Order of the Axe.
And if you wanted to order polearms from this gentleman, it would be a different discussion. Kopesh. Listen, I don't think they make Kopesh in London at any point in time.
Yeah.
Certainly not in 496. That's really stretching it. Of course, what do I know? This is King Arthur Pendragon, and there's Muslim knights before the founding of Islam, so...
Yeah.
Oh, asks for what kind of design, or if you needed anything special about them, or you just wanted 4 identical swords.
I think like he has some design input, like about the like the hilts, the guards, pommels, like the more decorative portions of the swords. But if they're just long swords, unless I can get a great sword, but I don't think I can.
He will custom forge a horse chopping sword for you at incredible cost if you would like one.
Sure. What is incredible cost?
Or do you want steel, or do you want
Steel. I want them all to be steel.
Wait, all of them? So you want multiple great swords?
No. Just I want a long, like the great sword to be for me. The long swords for the other 3.
I see.
Does he not work with aerospace grade titanium?
Oh my god.
Yeah. What do you mean? You don't use tungsten in your blades?
Aerospace grade. You know, James,
forging. What
he does have access to is that Australian bauxite in order to make aluminum swords. That's what it is. He's, he was actually on the first wave of No, he's from the second wave of colonists, which means he's better than the first wave.
When my wife and I went looking for wedding rings, I found one that my wedding ring is aerospace grade titanium with palladium. And as soon as I heard it was like aerospace grade, I'm like, hey, that's what I want. That's the ring I want. I don't care anything else. That sounds awesome. So
I bet it's really, really, really light.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh god, you've got the mineralist nerds out here. Now we're going to be talking about carbon steel. Someone's going to be like, are these swords going to have a full tang or not? And then I'm going to be like, you know what? Let's talk about the fuller, the blood groove.
Yeah.
Lauren Danger's going to show up and be like, shut up, Arthur, shut up!
Yeah, Lauren's going to jump out of the shadows.
Yeah. Why etch the words onto the sword when you can use nitric acid to put it in?
That is, but we'll leave the details to be revealed.
I mean, it
later.
will be £4 for the great sword.
Okay.
To be
Done.
made of steel.
Yep.
And it will take the whole year. It will not be available until the winter. And then for the 4 swords, it will take until the winter.
Okay.
And each of them will cost, at current pricing, 1 full pound.
Okay.
Which is expensive for a sword, even a special commission one.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not outrageous. It's not like a 200% markup, but it does represent shifting economic prospects.
So total is,
if you want 4 swords plus the great sword, you're looking at 8 total.
Okay. I pay him half up front.
Okay. He would like permission to say that you are his patron during this event.
I agree, and if I'm pleased with your workmanship, if you are interested, I could begin construction of a smithy on my lands. But I understand if you already have a smithy in the city and you do not want to relocate.
Let's make a roll.
Okay. Courtesy? I don't know that there's like a like persuasion. I think courtesy is kind of the catch-all skill for.
I was gonna say maybe orate, but yeah, I'll take.
I could do orate too, but
we'll see if the courtesy of your halls is lessened of late. Kendric,
it has. It has lessened of late.
I offer no disrespect to you, Sir Kendric. I'm sure that the lands of the West are rich, but a smithy in London will pay for itself 10 times over.
I understand.
It's a real seller's market here. And what I'm selling is swords.
Yeah, lots of swords are big now that the swords and the anvil and the stone.
Well, some swords are small, some swords are big. I just make whatever people ask of me.
Very well.
All right. Somewhere in the background, we look at a sword that looks very much like Omni Weapon from Ultimate
Final
Weapon
Fantasy.
from Final Fantasy VII. Just a triangular hunk of metal that slowly gets thicker the closer to the core of the blade you get. And underneath it, it reads Horse Killer.
And then, Kendric delivers all the messages that he was given and then rides home to Salisbury.
As you're preparing to leave London, you feel a hand on your shoulder as someone pulls you down from your horse into the streets of London and tries to throw you to the ground.
Okay. I resist then.
Sure. Let's make a roll. Horsemanship, I should think.
Okay. Success.
You turn, and the stranger is wearing a tabard of a Roman legion and carries a very fine sword, and half of his face is cloaked in the shadow of a hood. As a somewhat familiar voice says, "Sir Kendric, dog of the prince," and he spits in front of your horse. "No honor. Neither you, nor your prince, nor your dead king."
Do I recognize him?
Make a recognize roll.
Sure. Let's see. Not a good chance. Yeah, failure.
You don't recognize them from this small encounter, rushing out of nowhere, adrenaline pouring into your veins.
You're not good with faces. You're more of a names person.
Yeah. We're like still in the crowds in London, yeah?
Yeah, on the outskirts of the West.
Touch me again, Roman, and I'll take off your hand.
You could just hear him laughing.
And I feel like I ride away a little unsettled.
As you ride away, you can hear him calling, "I'm coming for you! I'm coming for you, Kendric," as he lowers his hood. But you don't see him because you're too far away, but the audience sees Praetor Seragrius. Back, maybe from the grave.
Hmm.
You and your best buddy, Prince Maddock, who abandoned him on the Frankish continent, leading to his great, great loss. Now he's back for vengeance.
Yeah.
And alcoholism.
Well, what's really funny is Kendric wasn't friends with Maddock, and that only came later.
But it's well known that you were a friend of Matt. You literally called one of the wolves.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Listen, time is a thing that happens over a course, a period, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole of events can be looked at, and you are unquestionably someone who followed Maddock directly.
That is true.
I'm not going to bite on that bait, James. So anyway, you ride through the desert on a horse with no name, and you make it back to Salisbury unmolested, with more messages in tow from afar, and a lot of gossip, all of it wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone you explain the Sword in the Stone experience to is insistent that it's a mace, or it's a sword that's in the stone and there's no anvil, or the inscription is on the hilt. And they know because their cousin in London told them.
Clearly someone just spot welded a pommel to the top of an anvil.
Wow, what? That's like a high school graduation prank for sure. Someone going to trade school. All I can think about now is the Brendan Lee Mulligan sketch of the guy removing the sword from the sword and the stone.
Yeah,
That's if I can get my guys.
Oh man. Also, so my squire turns 21 this year.
Yes,
Is there
Broden,
anything-
right?
Hayden.
Hayden.
Yes.
Why do I
Is there
have
anything-
Squire Broden written down?
was the messenger to Kined last year.
Yes.
Yeah, in the winter.
Hayden's from my family.
Yes. I was gonna say, is there anything that needs to be done to have him knighted?
The cost has to be raised.
Okay.
You can pay it directly. Well, I mean, sorry, Gwgan's family would cover that, but it can either be paid directly or you can tax your peasants for it. It's one of the 4 things you can tax your peasants directly for.
Yeah, I think when he returns from London, Kendric would go to Shrewton to speak with Sir Gwgan.
Of course, about Hayden, a Christian's son.
Yes.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting to make that joke. Weeks, months, really, given how long the break was. Okay.
Sir Gwgan?
Kendric, how was London? Did you are you the king?
Well, no, I am not the king.
Oh.
The true king is a child, I think. I don't know. I saw Merlin, I think. Still not king, yes. Merlin was there and he was old. But yes, I think the true king is still a boy.
You mean the child of Rain that Merlin took and when we were charged in Cornwall?
I think so, maybe. It was very strange. That would be an explanation. But there is a sword, there is an anvil, and there is a stone. But what I came to speak to you about today is my squire, or former squire, Hayden.
Yes.
He was Owain's cousin.
Second cousin.
Second cousin.
The child. Actually, no. It would be nephew.
Nephew.
No. His cousin. No, his cousin's child. Sorry, that's right. Cousin's child. So, yes, second cousin.
Did you have plans for him?
I mean, if you didn't play, first off, did you want to raise him to knight status? I mean, his family, obviously, the family will pay for that if that
is what I am here to speak about.
Deem him worthy, yes.
Yes, he is. He was served me very well as a squire, and I would like to see him knighted and continue that service to me as a knight.
It's not something I've ever discussed with Hayden, but of course, a few years ago, he fathered a bastard son. I would expect that as a knight, he would do honor to his child and recognize him formally, raise him as his own heir.
Very well.
I'm happy to have that conversation with Hayden if you don't want to, but you've obviously formed that bond over the last few years.
I can certainly encourage him to recognize his bastard and have him become a father. I will sponsor. Well, is the cost of knighthood
Yeah,
Does that
I'll cut you a check. We need to start.
Cut you a check.
Gotcha. Very well.
But when you say check, you mean CHEQUE.
Yes, of course.
That's right. Yes.
It is.
I think that was it an intro hour before you were talking about how you still use checks to pay your taxes?
Yes, in the United States, you pretty much have to.
Okay. Like I literally have not had a checkbook in 15 years.
I wish I didn't have a checkbook. I basically only use it to pay my taxes.
Yeah.
You don't use direct pay?
The state of Delaware, I don't think allows that, so I just do my IRS and Delaware taxes via check. I think West Virginia did, but that was a long time ago.
And then I'll also ask Sir Gwgan, is like, do you have any other relatives who are old enough to become squires? But
Unless you want a girl, I don't know whether I have. She's the cousin to Hayden is 15 years old this year. Will be 16 next year. I'm not sure if I have not spoken with her father to see what path he set out for her.
Yes, her name is Padme, daughter of Amidala.
Her name is Terwin.
well, his family has served well before. If her father is interested in having her pursue the path of knighthood, I would be happy to take her on as a squire.
I'll send a letter to my cousin.
Very well.
Kendric turns, starts putting on sunglasses, and we stop for a freeze frame for the new album drop, Path to Knighthood. But it's the number 2, not the letter. Yeah.
It'll be known
it's
in,
a second
in shorthand,
album as well.
Yeah, by the kids as P2K.
P2K.
Do you plan to invest Hayden in a manor, or I still have several manors that are currently untended. That's all. So, but I know you also recently acquired a new one.
Yes, I have not decided yet.
Right. Well, I won't make that call until you've decided.
Very well.
I said okay, possible.
All
I
right.
think that's the end of that scene.
For our final scene of the night, it is the post-epilogue scene. It is...
I thought I was going to, talk to the kids.
Ooh.
You know what? Let's do that as a dramatic soliloquy. I'm going to let you do whatever you want with that scene. Mostly because I don't want to play a bunch of kids of various ages. There's nothing I hate more. And I have no idea where you're going to go with this. I mean, for all I know, at the end of this, you're gonna have a really nice speech with all the kids and then push them off the roof. So
I suppose that could happen, but that is not where I'm going with this.
it's not where I wanted to go, but that's how we ended up.
No, I was pretty upfront that was not what Kinnead was all about. I think Kinnead will take each one of them aside. Gwendolyn, Adi, and Head, and tell each one of them. I don't know how much you remember of me, but your father was my brother. I'm your Uncle Kinnead. I loved your father very much. He saw things in me that the rest of the family didn't.
Your character sheet, mostly.
I understand that it's a very scary time to be so young. Frankly, it's scary even for adults. But I want to welcome you back home. You are family. You should be living here, and everyone here is going to treat you as such. If you can help me to find your brother Darani and your mother so that we can all be a family again, that's my deepest wish.
All right, motherfucker. I'm going to ask you to roll Love of Family. And no, if you roll a 20 here, you are asking for some pain down the line. It's going to get Game of Thrones level fucked up.
Well,
I don't have the dice roller on.
Arthur cursed me.
Hold on. Oh, you rolled a 20. Perfect. So we just see these three kids. They all look at each other, and one of them says, "Of course, Uncle Kinneed. We're all like family here." One of them walks forward with their tiny little kid hands and goes to touch your hand so they can hold your hand. You know how it is. It's very cute. And then we cut to a flash forward of just like a dramatic, not exact, like this isn't exactly what happens, but like a dramatic representation of these kids hunting you through the halls of your own home in the future.
Awesome.
Hey, great, but just think, if your heir dies, you could be playing one of these kids. It's just like that time in Crusader Kings 3 where my character suddenly died out of nowhere, and the next character I took over had a little cutscene saying, "Ah, yes, I just killed my stupid older brother. My successful assassination." I'm like, no, I have to play the guy who killed me? What a jackass.
God, I don't want to say this, but that means I go mad, doesn't it?
I think so as well. A 17.
If it's a 16.
It is a 16.
It was
yeah.
a 16.
Yeah.
I just lowered it. But
Yeah, you do go mad.
All right,
For
hold
D6
on.
plus 5 days.
D6 plus 5.
I want to take the break to sort that out. I think
that's fine.
Removing you from play is one thing, but I don't think you're gonna like cast off your clothes and go crazy. But maybe I feel like a more appropriate madness might just be you doting on these kids. Like, oh look, you got your own room. I made some serfs make you a bunny. You know what I mean? Like you spend every waking moment trying to get these kids on your side. Chad is suggesting you said the kids' rating. These kids are 8. The only time they'd be rating if they were Saxons.
Oh, send them to
Oh, send them to Rome on a pilgrimage? Well, that's certainly the GrimDarkJames way of getting it done.
Oh, man.
God.
Oh my god. Just all right, if you roll a 20 and then immediately.
Hey, listen, this is to pay back all those times during the
Last nights.
No. The first series of campaigns that I ran, the pirate game, where I was like, all right, Craig, the only way you can win is if you roll a 20. And he rolled a 20, and I was like, all right, sure, you run on the water because you're so fast, and you have water walking on, and you climb up the side of the ship, and you kill the captain, and now you're the captain. Sure, with a 20, you can do all of that. With a 20, you can do anything you want, Craig. It was a different time back then. Wow.
Oh, Skulls and Shackles.
Skulls and Shackles. Jesus. Top 10 worst Pathfinder campaign endings of all time. And that's really saying something. Don't nod your head, Spoon. You're not a Pathfinder player. You don't know what it's like getting to the end of an adventure path and being like, so that's the ending? I literally committed years of my life and that's the ending? You pre-wrote this whole thing before you wrote it, before you released it.
That's because I stopped playing Pathfinder because combats would take like 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, of course, an Age of Middle Earth, yeah. Instead, you decided to play Battletech.
Yeah.
Now that's the best troll I've made all night, guys. Oh, let's look at this very complicated calendar that we have to see when we play next. I'm going to consult the bones.
I am not around next week.
Yeah, I have
back on the
half of a
second.
frog here, so it says that we'll be back on the. I have the third.
Sorry, third. Sorry,
Yeah,
third.
Third works for me.
Excellent. All right, so the left leg of the frog was correct. Perfect. You never know when you throw the bones.
But if you want some more Spoon and GrimDarkJames action, this time next week will be some bit of Blood Bowl with a sprinkling of Omar Krieg for taste.
Some Dwarf on Chaos chosen action, where I have fantasy players on both sides of the game.
Are you gonna throw the game so that you can win the
Absolutely
fantasy
not.
league?
Absolutely not. I have more fantasy players on my team than I think it's just I have Bo and Minzer. And if I knock out Minzer, I get a point anyway. So
I wish I had a guide to how I could fuck somebody's fantasy league game up real bad if I just intentionally threw things.
I'll make an FAQ so you want to target.
Want to destroy Lord Hunger and remove him from the league whatsoever? Feed the Gravemaker to this guy. Let him die. All right, closing thoughts for this episode. And yeah, it felt like a connective episode. It certainly was not as spicy as last time.
Yeah, it's definitely
we shall
like
build a bridge.
Yeah.
It's a campaign tendon.
Because this year ain't done. This is literally the first part of the year. We've got a long way to go.
Yeah. I think it was good. I enjoyed like the court scenes. Us talking to the Countess was good. Yeah.
Your rival appeared out of the darkness.
Yeah.
The fire and the flame.
A guy that I don't recognize.
You destroyed my army! No, he's saying this. The wind is blowing dramatically. It's raining in his face. His sword has oil on it and is on fire. You destroyed my army! We could have won! And you're like, I don't even know who you are!
This was from the Street Fighter where Bison goes, the day that Bison graced your village and murdered your father was the most important day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. That's
You have to recall, he also handed her like a Mai Tai or some shit at the same time. It was so casual. He takes one hat off and puts the bedroom hat on. Pinnacle. Absolute pinnacle.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
What would have happened if one of us would have taken Amig's castle?
It would be a much more difficult game involving a lot more fairy stuff for you.
Yeah.
Do you want an interesting fact about Bison with Street Fighter? Do you remember in the original Street Fighter 2 there were 4 characters you fought after the main characters? Vega, Balrog, Sagat, and Bison? Do you want to remember Street Fighter 2? Mm-hmm. So originally, Bison was supposed to be the name of the boxer. Because he's in the list as M. Bison. It was supposed to be Mike Bison, like a play on Mike Tyson. But they copped some flack for that, so they moved around. So originally, the main villain was supposed to be called Sagat. The kickboxer was supposed to be called Balrog, and the boxer was supposed to be called Mike Bison. And they moved them all around to get rid of that conflict.
Interesting little bit of video game lore.
Yeah.
I have no follow-up except to say that Roller Coaster Tycoon was encoded entirely in machine language by an insane person. That's all
It's
I
a
have
good
to
game
add.
too.
So
It is
we're
pretty
all
good.
so we're the first 4 Ultima games.
Ooh, Ultima. Well, that's a name I know nothing about.
You never watched the Lord British interview?
I don't even know who that is.
So Lord British was a character in the Ultima games.
Yes.
But it was also the online persona of the creator of Ultima.
Yes.
But he started to like drink his own Kool-Aid
I know.
and there's actually been interviews where he as himself interviews himself as Lord British.
Yes. And I didn't watch them because I didn't care.
It's like a
Ultima
car
was,
crash, Arthur. You don't want to look at a car crash because you might see a severed head, but you want to look at a car crash because you might see a severed head.
no. I keep my eyes on the road because, James, if I'm in my car, I want to go somewhere. Not
And he doesn't want his head severed.
wait. Why is my head being severed in this scenario? I'm
Because
driving.
if you don't keep your eyes on the road, you'll end up in a car crash and your head will be severed.
I don't understand why your head is automatically severed in this car crash. Spoon, is that what you think happens in a car crash?
Well, I mean, no. It's more of a comment on the CRV, I think.
Wow, what did CRV? What? This is getting way too cut. The joke is too.
Yeah, we're way too into the
It's
weeds.
folded
Do
in
your own
on
research,
itself.
Alpha.
It's slowly creating a crushing gravity. It's becoming its own sun. Okay, you got to stop. The level of self-referential humor has got all of us confused. We're all on different levels. Friends, I'm APGamingREAL. I know a lot of things. And one of the things I know is that in survival server games, my base designs are perfectly square cubes that are stark, painted charcoal gray as possible, and involve the most utilitarian functionism possible. But Cotton just passed by my base in Pal World and said it looked like it had a good garden. So no, that's the kind of game Pal World is, where even me, who created a giant Lego brick to go into space, can create a beautiful garden that other people can enjoy in Pal World.
Aren't you an engineer? Shouldn't your structures all be triangles?
Why a triangle? Why not a hexagon?
Triangle
Wait, why would you think a triangle is the strongest shape?
Because it is the strongest shape.
It's no, the hexagon is the strongest shape, and that's 2 triangles or more.
What about arches?
What about an arch? Why not a
An
cantilever?
arch?
Wait, do you think
Hey.
arches are a strong shape?
Yeah, aren't they?
No, under no
Okay.
circumstances. They put all of the weight on the keystone. Why would they be strong?
I don't know. People put arches in everything.
I mean, that's so you can walk under them.
I can confirm triangles are the strongest shape, mathematically speaking. And
There you go.
That's not even remotely true. I will direct you to the case of Real Civil Engineer. He'll tell you exactly what the strongest shape in engineering is on any of his videos. He will use these exact words, and this was the strongest shape.
Audience, why don't you get in the comments and tell us what you think the strongest
Get in the
shape is?
comments! The strongest shape is a hexagon. It's unquestioned.
Well, I've just
The best
Googled what is
I
the
got.
strongest shape. The first few hits are: why is a triangle the strongest shape? Triangles the strongest shape. Triangles are the strongest shape. Thoughts on geometry? Is the strongest geometric shape a circle or a triangle? Why is a triangle the strongest shape? They're the top hits on Google.
Now,
All right, I googled hexagon strongest shape, and I got several articles with the same titles, but all
That sounds like
hexagon-based.
confirmational bias. I didn't
I
ask
agree.
if triangles.
You're the
I
one
asked
that
what's
said
the strongest.
triangles were. What
No,
if
no.
your bias of looking up triangles being the strongest shape
I
in the
didn't.
past?
I Googled what's the strongest shape.
Yes, but what if your previous observation of triangle strongest shape articles influenced Google to show you triangles are the strongest shape? How can we know unless you use an air-gapped computer in a private mode browser, incognito mode?
That's
How
not how
can we
SEO
know?
works.
The hexagon is the strongest shape. we're gonna battle that. Let me ask you a question: how many triangle-shaped buildings do you think there are in a given city district?
How many bridges are made out of triangles?
Almost none. I mean, I guess you could technically call a
No.
suspension bridge a triangle.
What about those like domed buildings that are made out of triangles?
You mean the panels?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a triangle-shaped building. That's a building made out of triangles.
Well, but if you mix the triangles and the dome together, surely that would be the strongest building.
Why do you think domes are strong?
Well, it's a dome made out of
A
triangles.
dome is just a three-dimensional arch. It's, again, you're talking about a building where if the center point has a problem, the entire thing collapses.
Yeah, but if the center point doesn't have a problem, it's perfectly fine.
Oh my god, this is the most architect ass shit I've ever heard. As long as the key point doesn't have a problem, everything will go well.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand my argument. All right, I have to let my cat out of my room.
I have to let my
She's going
blood
nuts.
pressure go down.
I will concede that a honeycomb structure is stronger than a structure of multiple triangles, but a honeycomb structure, each honeycomb piece is really just 6 triangles.
Listen, if you really break it down, the atom is the strongest structure because everything is made out of it.
That atoms are made up of things.
Okay.
I don't remember how we started this.
Yeah, I don't either.
I pretty much just blame you, James. I pretty much just blame you for this entire thing.
What an outro.
Is it? Glimo hasn't even gotten an opportunity to do an outro, and that's really the only reason I do this, is so Glimo can do an
what do you-
outro.
What do you
I'm
think
not
the strongest
streaming
shape
anytime
is?
soon, so I don't
You
have one
just
tonight.
streamed today!
I did, and that's probably my last one before Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Maybe on the 3rd if everything goes well, but
All right, Glimo. I'm going to follow up with Spoon. What's the strongest shape that you believe in?
Glimo's already been in Discord repping for hexagons.
Excellent. He knows. He knows the truth. The Pokedex knows the truth. Magikarp is the strongest Pokemon. Hey, listen, if you could jump a mountain, the amount of force that you can generate on liftoff means that you're the strongest Pokemon. That's all I'm saying. Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes, CGP Gray, of course. Hexagons are the bestagons. They fit together perfectly in a lattice work, and they absorb each other's problems, just the way a community should. You don't see anybody repping for Pentagons. That's all I'm saying. All right, friends. We'll see you in 2 weeks, unless I, suffer some real blood pressure related complications trying to figure out how triangles are the strongest shape. Strongest shape, my ass. You know what? We're on the out screen, and I'm not going out on this. You know why James thinks that triangles are the strongest shape? Because graphics in video games are made up of triangles almost entirely. All right?
Yeah,
That's what he
because-
means. He's the Mass Effect 2 Miranda's ass argument for triangles. All
Yeah,
right? That's a real
I-
argument. Look it up. James is the progenitor of it. I'm saying
All
it
I know is
now.
when I went to like an engineering 101 class, they said that the first 3 principles of engineering are build bridges out of triangles, water flows downhill, and you can't push a road.
Okay, hold up. I have a new challenger.
We're going back. We're going back to the screen with our faces on it.
All right. So the list of structures from the strongest to weakest are 1,
So
cylinder,
the cylinder, so to do
2,
with the
hexagon, 3, square, 4, triangle. But that's only delineates crushing weight.
Okay, we're leaving now. Goodbye.